All right, Shalom. I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. This article's from Fortune.com. The headline reads, it says, Elon Musk warns the U.S. is 1,000% going to go bankrupt. All right, here we go. The economy will collapse. All right, and Lord willing, this is the year because they got to afford the new system. Okay, Elon Musk warns the U.S. is 1,000% going to go bankrupt unless AI and robotics save the economy from crushing debt. Okay, that thick clay, right? And once they pull the plug on this economy, you already know what's coming next. Okay, remember, high volume production of Neuralink brain chips. All right, it's all headed to the mark of the beast. All right, these technocrats, these billionaires, and this guy, Elon Musk, as we said before, we got to keep a close eye on this guy, man. All right, remember they had it was the Time magazine, right? What was it? Let me pull it up. Elon Musk, Time magazine. All right, we told y'all to keep a close eye on this guy right here. Let me see. Here we go. Just wanted to pull that image back up. You know, because they had him in they had him on the Time magazine front cover. You know, sitting as the president. You know, so again, this guy is going to be leading the charge when it comes to pushing that MOTB, as we know. All right, Jeremiah 51. In verse 80 says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed. All right. Verse 9, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go up, and let us go every one unto his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. All right. So you know what's coming, man. All right.
A headline from Elon Musk, and it is dramatic. He says America is going bankrupt extremely quickly.
America is also going bankrupt extremely quickly. And nobody seems to, everyone seems to be sort of whistling past the graveyard on this one. You know, the Defense Department budget is a very big budget, okay? It's $1 trillion a year, DOD, Intel, it's $1 trillion. And interest payments on the national debt just exceeded the Defense Department budget. They're over $1 trillion a year, just in interest, and rising. We're adding $1 trillion to our debt, which our kids and grandkids are going to have to pay somehow. It's the only.
Yeah, you see, he's laden himself with that thick clay, right? It's Habakkuk 2:5. Habakkuk 2:5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. All right, which is heavy as well, because what is he trying to do now? All right, he's trying to pull everybody under the banner of this one world system. All right, that they're trying to forward. All right, verse 6. Shall not all these take up a parable against him? All right, because right now, as you see in the earth, Esau is becoming the mockery. All right, just like he would be a mockery in the kingdom of heaven. You know, it says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him? All right, the Edomites, and say, woe to him that increases that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. All right, going back to the debt that America is in. They're saying about 38 trillion. All right, but last time I heard it was about 220 trillion and counting. All right, it could be way more, but the point is that America is not going to get out of that debt. All right, and I was just doing a contrast and compare on the ChatGPT here. All right, going into Habakkuk 2 and verse 6. All right, being laden with that thick clay. All right, and I said compare and contrast with America's national debt crisis and failing economy. All right, and this is what we got. So it says Habakkuk 2 and 6 is a prophetic taunt song against an empire, Babylon, that grew fat by plunder, debt, and exploitation. The prophet says the nations it crushed would one day turn the tables and mock it. All right, and that's what's going on now. Okay, and this in the daughter of Babylon, right, America. All right, the scripture context Habakkuk 2 and 6. Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Key ideas in the Hebrew: that which is not his, wealth gained by force, fraud, or domination. Right? That's Sirach, the 10th chapter here. Right? This is Sirach or Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 8. It says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. And how did Esau get the land of America? All right. It was through unrighteous dealings, injuries, riches by deceit. All right. Rape, robbery, murder, fraud. Okay. This is how he got, the Western hemisphere, basically. All right. But now we're in that transition of this man falling from power and Jacob being raised up. Right. But in the midst, he thinks that he's going to initiate and fulfill his world order. All right, what we're getting into. All right, so this debt, all right, which is stacked up against Babylon, all right, they have no choice but to pretty much collapse the system in order for them to bring in the new one. All right, which we've been going through lesson after lesson of the establishment of this beast system. Okay, but reading on here. That which is not his, wealth gained by force, fraud, or domination. How long? A moral clock is ticking. Okay, because they don't have a lot of time. Right? They got to hurry up and do this thing, man. Right now, it's all about what? AI, the chip. Okay, a new system, a new way. All right, the digital dollar, CBDCs. All right, programmable payments. A programmable dollar. They call it when you look it up, it's called the dollar 2.0. All right, it gets into all of that. All right. It says thick clay, literally heavy debt or pledges that weigh the nation down. See? Think obligations pile so high they become a burden, not a blessing. Babylon looked powerful, but Habakkuk says its strength was an illusion. See? It's a spirit. Built on borrowed time and stolen value. All right. Parallels with America's national debt and economy. Debt as power, then as weight. Babylon extracted wealth from conquered nations, used tribute and plunder to fund luxury and military might. All right. America, finances dominate through perpetual borrowing. Debt used to sustain power, social programs, wars, and markets. In both cases, what once expanded influence later becomes thick clay, a crushing load, all right? Because like I said, the national debt, last time I heard was about 220 trillion plus, okay? Number two, living beyond real production, Babylon consumed more than it produced. Depended on subjugated nations, right? Because, hey, just like America doesn't make nothing, all right? Everything they get is through import. America, financialized economy, debt, derivatives, speculation, offshore production, imported consumption, right? Because America don't make nothing. We got to get everything imported from these other nations. Habakkuk's warning fits eerily well. Wealth detached from real labor and righteousness becomes unstable. The tongue of the nations shall not always take up a parable against them. Babylon, the very nations it exploited, mocked it when it fell. All right, America, foreign creditors now question U.S. solvency. Global confidence wavers. Currency debates, de-dollarization talk. The parable today isn't a song. It's headlines, markets, and mockery, right? That's heavy. Last point here, number 4, moral dimension of economic collapse. This isn't just about numbers. Habakkuk ties economic judgment to injustice, exploitation, violence, pride. America's crisis isn't only debt, it's predatory systems, corruption, unequal weights and measures, all right? You know, an unjust balance is an abomination to the Most High, okay? Profiting while the poor drown, right? That's straight prophetic language. See Proverbs 11, Amos 8, 4 through 6. Let's see if there's anything else you want to take from it. Yeah, that's the point. Yep. Let's see the bottom line. It says, the bottom line, Habakkuk isn't preaching spreadsheets or bond yields. He's exposing a spiritual law. A nation that grows by taking what is not rightfully earned and sustains itself by piling obligations it cannot pay is already under judgment before the fall is visible. Right, that's heavy because like I said, quoting Isaiah 47, let me pull it up. You know, Babylon, America, these Edomites, all right, they didn't consider their latter end, all right? Isaiah 47 and 5. It says, sit thou silence and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms, right? Speaking about America, Babylon. I was wroth with my people. I have polluted my inheritance and given them into thy hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. All right, going into the hardcore bondage. All right, that our people went through in this captivity here in America. All right, Babylon. Verse 7, the point. And thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart. Right? So that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. Yeah, they didn't consider. All right? Now this place is being prepared for a collapse. You know, the judgment. Okay, it says right here, it says Elon Musk pointed out that interest payments alone on the $38.5 trillion debt pile are about $1 trillion a year, exceeding the U.S. military budget. All right, so this is what they're saying, $38.5 trillion. All right, no way to pay that back. Right? And that's the point on that. Here's some more on that article because I couldn't go through that read on the first one. 1,000% bankrupt. Musk warns U.S. debt is doomed without AI. All right. Elon Musk warns that the U.S. faces certain bankruptcy without major advancements in AI and robotics to drive unprecedented productivity gains and offset the escalating $38.56 trillion national debt. See that? Interest payments on the debt already exceed the $1 trillion military budget and are projected to surpass $1.5 trillion by 2032 and reach $1.8 trillion by 2035, while the government spent $602 billion more than it collected in the fiscal year 2026 alone. Persistent fiscal imbalances risk further dollar devaluation. $100 in 2025 equals $12. Check that out. $100 in 2025 equals only $12.06 in 1970. Purchasing power. Underscoring the urgent need for AI and robotics to boost economic output and provide investors with opportunities in high growth technology sectors, all right? This is where we at, all right? You know, I'm not no financial analysis, man, but hey, we can read the room, okay?
AI, they talk about universal basic income. I think it's actually going to be universal high income, where anyone can have any goods or services that they want. Now, there obviously are some risks, which illustrate perhaps if we don't do this right, you could have like a James Cameron sort of movie, Terminator. We don't want that one. But having sort of a Star Trek future would be great, where we're out there exploring the stars, discovering the nature of the universe, and a level of prosperity and hopefully happiness that we can't quite imagine yet. So I'm very excited about the future. Sometimes in AI they talk.
Yeah, so again, once they pull the plug on this economy, you know what's coming next, man. All right? Revelation 13 and 16. And he caused of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, the chip. All right? The charagma. All right? Closer than ever. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom, let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666 chai psi stigma. All right, what the apostle John saw, he saw all these things being ushered in. All right, the chip, the beast system, everything, man, the AI, the technology, right? So again, one step closer, all right, to this, to the MOTB, man, and the new system being rolled out. Shalom.